Enjoy with your headphones for a better listening experience.
Please watch till the end of the video to have the most scariest part of the story.
What is something about yourself that genuinely scares you? Serious. 2 years ago, I moved to be a little closer to home and to go to college. I left an excellent job and a lot of really good friends, but I was really excited about the move because I felt was starting a new adventure in my life and I was going to have the chance to meet another group of awesome friends. A year later I was miserable, I had no friends, no GF, and I rarely visited my family. The whole time I was thinking I'm a nice young attractive guy. What did I do to deserve this? The answer was the same as your grandpa gave. I never did anything not to deserve it. I sat in the back of class, didn't talk to anyone, I didn't try any new hobbies or go out. Hello, I had a profile on a couple of dating websites, but I never messaged anyone. I had this weird thought that if I did I would just be bothering them, and I didn't want to get rejected. Well, I got so tired of it, that I knew I had to do something myself. So, I decided to get a job to get out more, met some friends that way, and very recently I gained the confidence to just start messaging girls I thought were cool and attractive. Only 2 out the 7 or so I messaged replied back, but as it turns out, it didn't even bother me at all that most didn't. My social circle and confidence are definitely still both work in progress, but at least I am actually proactive about it now, which has made me feel 100x better. So, anyone reading this, feeling like they are in the same boat I was in, if you want to stop feeling so alone and miserable, do something about it, don't wait for life to just happen. I have one large flaw, I am very, very lazy. Not merely in that I don't move around often. I don't, but it's more than that. I don't have passion for anything anymore. I don't read as often as I should, and when I do I don't read much and I'm far too proud of myself to even complete a chapter. I do as little as I can in school, and I'm unambitious at work. I don't even play games with enthusiasm anymore. It used to be that if I had a new game I would beat it before I could move on to anything else. Now I just don't care about anything. Even now I just want to recline and look up some silly easy entertainment. I'm going to the gym today if it kills me. I am so afraid of rejection in any way. I am so afraid of failing if it turns out I am really not that good at something, that I just can't put myself out there. When life was safe and what was expected from me clear, it all looked great, like I had so much potential and skill. Once life became what you make it, I am stuck and completely passive. Any effort scares me out of fear I will be wasting my time and not good or able anyway. I waited to be recognized by some magical force that will say Leona 7, you're the chosen one and this is what you need to do, but it didn't happen, so I did nothing much. But there is still a lot ahead. This is an obstacle for us who are like this to get over. Everyone has some, and we have to learn to get over it. I have an extremely addictive personality. I'm lucky I made it out my drug experimentation phase without a serious cocaine addiction, but I was a smoker for years, and there's no denying that I'm a functioning alcoholic. I have to fight addiction to non-chemical things, as well. When I fall for a girl, for example, oftentimes it becomes a sort of addiction in that I can't get her off my mind whatsoever. All I want to do is spend every waking minute with her. I probably have an addiction to Reddit, too. Edit, I'm reading every single one of your stories, and you're all awesome. I'm currently in the process of trying to apply my addictive personality to positive things, but kicking vices is pretty hard. I hope those of you who are struggling like me can overcome it, and those of you who have successfully avoided self-destructive behaviors continue to do so. To those of you with relationship woes, I unfortunately understand all too well. That is tough, and there's no single answer for everyone, but if you keep busy and continually try to better yourself you'll eventually find the right person. My anger, I have some anger issues and can't think clearly. I'm afraid I'll just straight up murder someone one of these days. Edit, to everyone freaking out or giving me advice, my anger issues were identified when I was a kid and I had therapy and whatnot. I was given tools to deal with it and cope. Yes, I get angry, but I diffuse myself as quickly as possible and very rarely do I ever lose control. I have it in check, my peeps. Anger is a self-destructive drug and I'm much stronger than it is. Sometimes I really want to say it to society and go live off the grid. I think about it a lot. Throw away the career, buy a plane ticket, find somewhere beautiful and just live in a tent. Edit, I've had a number of people ask why this is scary for me. I think it's that, in the US at least, there are so many societal pressures. Have kids. Provide for retirement. Build up a strong resume. Own a home. Blah blah blah. These have been ingrained in me since I was young. In order to truly escape and live off the grid, I'd have to suppress or destroy much of the doctrine that has been put in my head since I was young. My fear is that, by starting to chip away at the doctrine, I'd metaphorically create a crack in my psyche that would cause me to continue to chip away until nothing is left. I live in a city with a large number of houseless. Many of them, not all, exist this way by choice. They aren't mentally ill, they aren't drug addicts. They just don't want to try to exist in the manner that society tells them to exist. They enjoy their freedom, and a small part of me feels that this mentality is selfish. I fear escaping society because I'm afraid of the possibility of never wanting to come back. Sometimes I have conversations in my head of the future. For example, if I need to go get something at the grocery store, I would think through what I would do, purchase, etc., and then what I would say to the grocer. What they would say back, and so on and so forth. I do this in order to prevent conflict, I'm sure. The grocery store example doesn't exactly justify that, but I think we all get the picture. Oh, and sometimes I act out what would happen, such as mouthing what I would say and moving my hands around as if I am in an actual conversation. I don't think I love my parents as much as they love me. They have made many sacrifices for me and my siblings, but when they call me I can't help but answer back in an annoyed tone. They like to ask me stupid questions to start a conversation, but I always give short answers. I don't hate them. I would be sad if they passed away. My mom always asks me about my day. She genuinely loves me. Sorry if this is not put together right. I'm drunk. Edit, okay, I'm more sober than I am drunk now. It definitely feels better knowing that others have the same problem. I can feel desperation when they talk to me. It makes me uncomfortable. My parents are one of the few people who actually care about me. 99% of the time after the phone call I will hate myself for a few minutes, only to do it again the next time. Sometimes I don't know if I actually love them or if it's just because they give me gifts, money, and food. My parents deserve a better child. Edit 2, thank you for the gold and all of the advice you gave me. I will start to talk to my parents and visit them more often. I will struggle with a form of eating disorder for the rest of my life. I've never been overweight. But over the last 2 decades, I've had countless bouts of anorexia, bulimia, compulsive overexercising, etc. There have been periods of normal eating, never longer than 2 months, however. And I've always felt disgusted the whole time. I want to have a normal relationship with food. But I seriously doubt it will ever happen. I am a lonely person. I tend to be very down when I am alone, and I have no idea who would ever find this appealing other than other desperate, lonely people, and they tend to be much less balanced and capable of social function than me. I am not great at it, but I push people away with quiet more so than by being too loud and causing trouble. I used to have serious depressive episodes, where I just lay in bed and do nothing. I'd let all my responsibilities fall to the wayside. I haven't felt that way for about 3 or 4 years now, but the thought of those feelings coming back scares me. I'm planning to start a family soon. It's one thing if my depression causes problems for me, but it's a horse of an assorted color if it impacts my wife and children. I know this will get buried, but I want to say it anyway. So many people are saying it scares them how little they feel for other people. But I'm the opposite. I can feel everyone's emotions. I can walk by a homeless person and have them simply smile at me and I'm crying for the next hour. Or if I'm in a crowded restaurant, I can hear every single conversation that's going on within a 30-foot vicinity, and I get the feelings that accompany all of those conversations. I think I may be what is called an empath. But either way it's scary to me because I can never separate my feelings from others, so if someone else is really nervous or anxious I will actually start having a panic attack, and I have no reason. I've never really explained this to anyone because it sounds crazy. But I swear to God I feel and take on others' emotions. Edit, wow. I really had no idea so many other people actually feel this way. Now I don't feel quite so crazy about it. As for the people who tell me to seek professional help, firstly I would if I had the money. I have some other issues I need to deal with, and secondly this isn't too debilitating, and I certainly wouldn't want to be any other way. It makes me a really caring and respecting person, gives me more insight into the burdens others carry, and makes me want to help people, which is ultimately my only goal in life. I wouldn't have that without this. Got to take the bad with the good. Smiley face. I really appreciate all the support I've been receiving and the tips and the websites to check out for some help. It means a lot to me, and it's nice to finally understand that this is actually a thing. Not just me being abnormal. I am not afraid of anything. I realized this one day when I was about 19. Me and 3 friends were driving to our friend Kurt's house in my '88 Corollas to buy a 20-sack of weed. When we pulled up to this guy's house there were 5 dudes standing outside of his house. We don't think much of it and so we park and get out. This macho guy who knows martial arts with a big tough guy act lurches up to us and starts accusing us of robbing Kurt. We are like WTF, why would we rob him and call him up 2 hours later to buy a small quantity of weed from him? This guy didn't care, he knew it was us because we met the description. He berates us and intimidates my friends. My friends are scared because these guys looked and acted tough. They were much bigger than us and this Bruce guy brandished a gun that was tucked into his pants. Somehow after an hour of threatening and establishing his male dominance over us he calls us chumps and lets us leave. We got into my car and turned around to drive away and he stepped up to my window again. He says if he finds out it was us he knows where we live and he would come and kill us. I am irritated at this point. I go to pull away and this guy nicknamed Big Bird who is standing with arms crossed looking tough and gangster the whole time lurches forward and gets the side of my Corolla. I start fuming as I turn the corner to drive away. I slam on the brakes, hop out, open the rear hatch, grab the handle to my car jack, which was about a foot-long steel rod, and start running back around the corner towards this guy's house. I am so heated and furious I start screaming like an Apache war chief. They turn and look like scramble. Bruce's 4 friends scramble and run away into the house, and this guy pulls out his gun and points it at me. I swing the bar in my hand at the gun and he screams as I smash his hand and knock the gun to the ground. I pick it up and started unloading on him. It was one of those realistic Waco 2 pistol, and after shooting him like 6 times with BBs I started coming back to reality. This guy is laying there crying like a baby. His friends are nowhere to be found and I just start maniacally cackling with laughter. I turned and threw the weighted pistol right through Kurt's front window and walked back to my car. This event changed my life. Those guys never tried to mess with me again and didn't even try to get revenge. This guy Bruce told his mom that he crashed his dirt bike and busted his hand. The police officers weren't even called. Next thing I know there are rumors going around that I am a psychopath. I haven't freaked out like that ever before or ever since. I had to find another weed dealer also, which was the worst part. I'm probably gonna die alone. I have troubles interacting with people. I tend to not understand when I say something hurting or offending until somebody else explains it to me. I don't easily understand nonverbal language. My friends believe I don't think they're good enough for them. I've only been in destructive relationships, and when I like someone who is not that way I wait so long to tell them that I miss my chance. Sometimes I dream about it, dying alone and unloved. I don't want to end that way. Academically, I'm lazy. If I had the same motivation as I did 2 years ago, I'd be doing pretty fine. Even though I'm not behind, I feel like I am. I'm not putting in that extra work that allowed me to cruise before. That extra work meant people came to me for help, instead of the other way around. It scares me that motivation can come and go so easily. Anyway, I'm slowly working on it. But I doubt Reddit will aid this process. No one knows me outside of the context of my direct interactions with them. Not even those I've known for years, and in some regards, not the so I've lived with for 3. They're all my own compartmentalization manifested as people. Each knows a subsection that no one else is familiar with. It's like every aspect of my life is an inside joke with only one other person. I hide nothing when they look for it, but none of them know where to look. I've been told I'm leak-proof and sealed off, but I will answer every question those close to me ask of me. They know nothing of what to ask. My boss has called me the most interrogation-proof person he's ever met at my age, 24 on Sunday, and he's got about 45 years of work experience to compare me to. I'm extremely political with my information. Essentially, absolutely everything is on an express need-to-know basis, unless I am presented with express proof that it is necessary or acceptable for this person to know this thing. I will act as if I have no idea what's going on. I choose not to get involved or choose sides. My so brings up that every response she has ever seen me have to adversity or anything in that same vein is purely rational in nature, that there does not seem to be an emotional response unless it is in regard to my daughter. Why does this all scare me? Because I might go to my grave with no one knowing what my legacy is, what I would have liked in a eulogy. They will know what impact I had on them, but probably will not realize that no one impacts me. I utilize the rational response, and I never really have a need to seek advice. Each time I do, the reply I get is that my chosen path makes more sense and is better than what I would have come up with. My so, about a month ago, looked me dead serious in the eyes and asked if I was sure I was human, that she's never come across someone who reacts the way I do. I am not a sociopath, but I'm able to think like one. I can think from the mindset of any situation I've been presented with so far and come up with some sort of action plan, be it for success or for damage control. The key thing is everything is a game for me. An optimal solution, everything is solvable. I adapt game theory into every decision I make on a daily basis. Everything is a resource, be it social resource, financial, time, everything. How can I use these resources to the correct benefit of me? Constantly positioning, repositioning, examining future positioning. It's like everything and everyone is a chess piece on the board in my head. I tell people this, and they can't wrap their heads around thinking that way. I've no idea if I have a mental issue, as no one has come to me and mentioned they do the same, nor has anyone ever informed me of knowing anyone else who does this. So, I fear my own mind. I have a constant desire to die. I've grown so world-weary. I can't shake the feeling that no matter where I go physically, socioeconomically, or spiritually, there will always be as many downsides as there are upsides. I mean, if all your feelings are relative to others, how could they not perfectly counteract each other? That's what they're doing now. Life seems like a really long joke that I already know the punchline to, and I'm sick of hearing the setup.
When my husband and I were on the rocks, before the divorce, we were both so miserable that we couldn't stand it. How we coped with this was, he was high 24/7 and I got hammered nearly every night. I've never had an addictive personality, but I was really starting to scare myself that I was going to become an alcoholic. I never tried to quit while we were together, but I was afraid if I did, that I was going to realize how addicted I was. Well, we got divorced, and not too long after that, my daughter got hurt in an accident and had to be hospitalized. This had nothing to do with my drinking or her dad's drug use, for 10 days. She's 100% recovered now, but I spent the entire 10 days by her bedside and didn't even think about alcohol. Like, I wasn't even thinking about how long it had been since I had a drink or anything. I was totally consumed with her welfare. Anyway, that was well over 2 years ago, and I drink very rarely now, and usually stop after 2 to 3 drinks at most when I do drink. I've had the same bottle of rum in my house for over 6 months. I'm really proud of that. I don't really even give alcohol a second thought or worry now.
My emotions are practically non-existent. I feel anger, violent urges, and lust, but past that it's as if I'm empty. I've never missed anyone when they were away, never cried at a funeral or sad movie. My relationships are so fake that I feel like I'm lying just talking to my friends. I have a large group of friends and the phone always has 3 or 4 messages. I'm well liked and have a girlfriend. I'm not afraid, just disappointed that I'll never really get butterflies in my stomach when a loved one smiles and that I'll end up dying alone with nobody even noticing I passed. The odd thing is that I remember at 11 telling my mother, "Mom, I think I don't have feelings anymore." I really like being alone. I love being in nature and with animals. I have 5 dogs and 2 cats, not weird person like, I live on a huge farm. I avoid people, and long social contact tires me out. I find people boring. I read a lot, know a lot, and am interested in a wide variety of things. I get called encyclopedia a lot. And the ignorance and interest in petty things of other people makes them so bored. I'm a girl who grew up playing video games with boys, now I'm incapable of having a female friend, boring, while also being incapable of having male friends because penis. These things scare me because what if I'm doing life wrong? I'm so different than the people I meet I want to think that's okay, but my mind is plagued with "you're doing it wrong" thoughts. Everyone seems normal. I have to concentrate on walking like a human. I feel and in my own eyes look like some alien thing trying to fit in. I don't know why. Everyone at my job is normal. I am not. When people talk to me I assume they think I'm strange looking and weird. I've learned to ignore myself about these things mostly, but every now and then I just can't for the life of me figure out how to walk normally. I realize I am probably walking completely normal, but this is what goes on in my head anyway. I had a bit of a drug problem a few years ago, not a major one really, which meant that I stopped fairly easily. Problem is that the way the drug works meant that once I stopped using it stopped my brain from producing serotonin, the brain chemical that makes you happy, for about half a year, meaning it was physically impossible for me to be happy. I'm getting better now with a few bad says every now and again. But I already had a good few anxieties issue beforehand and those 6 months only made them about 10 times worse. I've had these issues for as long as I can remember, and it's pretty much crippled my ability to be able to hold conversations with people. Outside of collage, I never really talk to anyone. I don't know how. I have no idea how to start a conversation with anyone and just think they'll think I'm weird for doing so. I can still talk and socialize with people I'm good friends with when I'm with them, but other than that I'm useless. Because of these issues, I have never had any relationship with anyone that lasted more than a few weeks. I guess what scares me is that I'm never going to be able to be normal like everyone else, never going to be able to have decent conversations with people or have the social life I want, and most of all ever have a meaningful relationship due to my inability to be able to meet and connect with new people. I don't know, I guess I keep thinking there's something wrong with me, something in my brain that's permanently unwired, and I'm scared that I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life, and frankly I'll call it quits if I have to live like this. I have been sobering for almost 2 years and the things I have accomplished are unreal. I finally graduated college, was on the Dean's Honor Roll my last semester, got an excellent job, have my own place and pleasant things, all of this on 10 years deferred for dealing meth. I was an active 4 user of meth, heroin, coke, you name it. To the point I was living on the streets and doing terrible things to make it. Now I'm a software developer. The thing is, I have been sober before and relapsed. Never for this long, and this time feels different, but in the back of my mind I fear something might just snap one day and I don't think I could rebuild my life again. I've been to treatment 5 times, and I don't think my family could stand it. It's taken a lot of work to rebuild the relationship that we do have. So that's what scares me. I have OCD, and many people don't understand that OCD can cause horrible, violent, disgusting, terrible thoughts. The worst things you can imagine doing to people, or being done to people you love, just run through your head at the most inappropriate and inopportune times. You picture yourself doing things to other people that you would never even conceive of doing in real life. It's just horrible, and having those thoughts and being capable of producing those kinds of fantasies, for lack of a better word, is incredibly disturbing to me. I seem to have a really warped view of life. I'd much rather live in my imagination than in the real world. I enjoy thinking much more than I enjoy speaking, and I also tend to overthink things. The fact I've thought about suicide many times just because I'm curious what would happen sometimes scares me. I have a deep-rooted fascination for death. I don't think I'm depressed, but I do think that something is wrong with me mentally, because I just feel like an alien among humans most of the time. And the worst thing is, like you've probably seen by reading this post, I can't explain it very well, because I don't really understand it myself. Oh well. I am a white, 21-year-old, male with antisocial and slight control issues. I don't hold friendships well with other people who aren't similar to me, and, while I'm not afraid to, I don't find new friends because I don't like people in general. I don't like being near people, smell their odor, notice their weird quirks as they communicate, etc. It's all unappealing to me. I was lucky to obtain a so who has some similarities to me, and I have a couple friends who I moved away from, who are also similar to me. Otherwise, I don't plan to obtain any further friendships. I love playing RPG games because it gives me an outlet for being in control. In the real world, my so has kept this quirk about me really under control. I can have occasional panic attacks and vents of frustration/anger if I'm not 100% in control of situations. It's an obsessive control of a situation as well, such as my need to plan even the minimal things down to a science. Going to the movies? Then I need to have an exact knowledge of what's going to happen, where we are going to park, how much we're spending, how I should expect the movie to be, all the way to insane needs such as if it will be dark or light outside when we park and when we leave. If I don't know these things, I can be extremely nervous and, in extreme cases, I can have frustrations. When I build my computers, I have to lay everything out in their own area, plan using sketches and step-by-step lists, and visualize me building it before I start. If I do this and something goes wrong, like my fingers are too fat to fit between the graphics card and the PSU while trying to place the headers in, I will start to feel panicked because I'm losing control of my own plan. My antisocial tendencies revolve around a weird deep-rooted belief that everyone is an idiot. This includes me. It makes me sometimes talk down to account managers for web projects that I work for and is extreme enough to where I can't play MMORPG games properly because I always think that I'm going to be playing with idiots who can't communicate and do their jobs. I don't trust people driving me in a car, including myself, and will have inner panic attacks if the car goes over 60 miles per hour. I don't trust people to do even the simplest of tasks, so I don't ask people for help. I don't ask my so to empty the dishwasher or do dishes or clean the litter box, or a myriad of other things, and will do it myself before she has the chance to. On the outside I am a very likable person who comes off as socially awkward but well-meaning. I do my job, do it well, and praised always at my job. My family thinks I'm a highly well-functioning adult in society who is doing far better than any other 21-year-old is doing, considering I'm working full-time and making more money myself than most high-middle-class families make. I am well known in different social circles as being a genuinely nice young man who loves people, but it is all a ploy I use to keep control of my situations. In my own apartment I am an incredibly quiet individual who loves his sew, appreciates her, and loves his 2 cats. Before people start going crazy on me, I visit a therapist for monthly checkups because I have exhibited depression in the past. I understand my issues and work proactively with my therapist to combat these. I do not take medications, though I have been asked if I'd like to be prescribed a mood enhancer to get over my people are idiots issue. I have never exhibited dangerous behavior, and I have never personally felt like I should physically do anything that would harm someone. I do, however, use my ability to charm and outsmart my coworkers into doing what I want. I am an incredible interviewee who knows exactly how to take the situation into what I need, but I do need a day beforehand to overcome the paralyzing panic attacks. I have received 3 extremely high-paying jobs because of my ability to read and manipulate, regardless of my actual qualifications. All 3 jobs required a college degree, or similar experience, and all 3 looked past the fact that I'm too young to have those. I am worried that my antisocial behavior and control tendencies will ostracize my so and future friends I do somehow meet. It is already affecting my SO's ability to meet new couple friends, and even though we've been together for 6 years as of yesterday, and she is very intent on staying in the relationship, I am very worried that one day she will get tired of it. Sorry for the rambling, but I do believe I answered the question. I've had about 8 long-term bouts of long-term depression in the past 15 years, starting when I was 10. According to my parents, there were times when I was younger that also qualified as a clinical depressive episode. For anywhere from 6 to 8 months during these times, it's almost impossible for me to do anything. I can't sleep, or can't wake up, I can't eat, or can't stop eating, my body hurts and gets stiff, I get migraines, I get sick a lot, I lose all sense of hope and joy in anything, and my ability to think reasonably about anything runs out the door. The episodes are never brought on by any external sources. There is no way for me or my doctors or my therapist to determine when one is coming on, and when the meds finally start working, I go from being completely blank to being overly emotional. When I'm not in a depressive episode, I'm a happy, responsible, reasonable person who is great at my job and appreciative of life and optimistic. I can handle anything, control my emotions, and generally like myself. What scares me is the last couple of times this has happened. It literally happened overnight. One day, I'm getting ready to graduate and go into my first job and celebrate my 1-year anniversary with my boyfriend. The next day I wake up feeling like it's reasonable for me to kill myself because everything sucks. My therapist has spent years trying to help me find hope during the episodes, but we've settled on brainwashing me into knowing that killing yourself is never reasonable, that the thought will end, and that I'll be happy again in a few months. I'm always afraid that one day, I'll be able to convince myself otherwise and just do it. Well, I got a couple. I have this thing, where no matter what, if I'm alone I feel like the world is watching me and judging me. Like, it feels like there's this giant screen somewhere, that everybody in the world can see, yet continue on in their lives simultaneously. It started out harmlessly, but it's progressed to the point where it affects my behavior. For example, I'm in a rush, I don't have time necessarily to wash my hands, I usually do, I start walking away without it, but then I just feel the world judging me, and I do it. This may not be the best example cause it's a positive effect, but I don't do things in private, like dance to music anymore. Because of it, I feel like I'm being watched. But back on topic, the reason this scares me is because I feel like it might be the beginning of something worse, like paranoid schizophrenia, or some other mental disorder. It scares the living hell out of me. Sort related to one, I guess? But I've only had one girlfriend in my life, and I am really paranoid about whether she really liked me or not. It was going fine up time those worries started with my head, and I started asking stupid questions and ended the whole thing up. It's kinda related to the first one because I feel like I'm just gonna end up a completely paranoid outcast. I'm not sure if this was what the question was looking for, but these are the two things about myself that scare the living of me. Not sure if anyone cares, but I feel slightly better with it written down. My depression and anxiety. I'm afraid it will finally get the best of me, and I will snap. I'm already so broke. I sit in the quiet on the couch and cry with my son in my arms. I don't feel good enough. I feel like he deserves better. Sometimes I just want it all to end. But I love my son so much and he keeps me going. I just don't want him to grow up to hate me. My general ignorance towards my own actions. I am an IT engineer with a decent job, but I was in architectural engineering for 4 years. I also worked 40+ hours to help pay for school and had a 1.5 hours long commute between work, school, and home. One day, I just didn't show up to school. I just decided I'm done. Years later, I realized that I was suffering from severe anxiety and had no idea. If only I recognized it sooner, I'd have made it though. I look back on my life and although I did a lot of things, I could have done so much more had I nipped my problem in the bud. I get addicted/obsessed/dependent very easily. The time between when I had my first cigarette ever and when I really craved to smoke was probably a couple of months. When I started to exercise regularly, I developed an eating disorder. Years later, I tried to find ways to relax instead of running. I started to drink a beer or two every now and then. I ended up having 8 to 10 beers every damn night. Luckily I was able to stop that after 5 months, because I ran out of money. Nowadays I refuse to try anything illegal, or gambling. I will do anything to avoid confrontation. Just thinking about having to confront someone can make me sick to my stomach. There is a point though, and it's almost like a switch gets flipped, where I go into rage mode and lose all concern for human life. This has only been brought about by being physically assaulted, but there have been 2 occasions where I was very close to killing someone or at least leaving them handicapped for the rest of their life. It's scary to think I can just lose control like that. It scares me how little ambition I have. I feel horrible for saying it, but I don't aspire to become anything. Sure, I have a career path I would like to take and have an outlook on exactly how I want my life to go, somewhat of a plan, but if I'm truthful to myself, if I could move back home and live there forever without working and while not being lazy per sat. Just do what I want to instead of what I have to do. It scares me that my future has to be working 8 hours a day to support myself. I don't know what to do with my life. No profession intrigues me. Or if I watch a show for a week I suddenly want to do that. I binged on Scrubs and now being a doctor sounds cool. Last month I was convinced I wanted to be a detective. I just don't know what to do. I'm numb to a lot of emotion. Recently I was given the opportunity that I've been waiting for my whole life and the only thing I felt was a false sense of happiness. I feel like I'm faking all of my feelings, because I'm afraid people will realize the kind of person I am. When people tell me I love them, I say it back, but I don't know what it means. I feel the same way about every person on earth. I don't love or hate anyone, I just don't feel anything. I feel scared about this because I feel I won't ever be able to live a full life and experience things the way people are supposed to. I don't self-loathe, in fact, quite the opposite. This is probably the main reason suicide seems useless. I guess things will change as life goes on. My fear of people and inability to be social. When I was in high school, I had the chance to go to college for an electrical course for free right out of high school and be a licensed electrician making good money a month after college. But I had to do work experience for an electrical company as a prerequisite. Which meant phoning companies around town to get his interview and then work with electricians for 2 weeks. Nope. I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was too terrified and had huge anxiety towards the whole thing and never did it. I now have a job making no money. I was also afraid of the job and getting yelled at, so I guess I'm afraid of confrontation too. I'm a pedophile. I don't know any other way to put it. I've never done anything to anyone, it's all been pictures and videos that I have tracked down online. Before I go any further, yes, I am ashamed of myself. Every day. You can't imagine. It's not something I want. The best way I can describe it is having the itch from a bug bite that you aren't supposed to scratch, but then, mindlessly, you do. You realize when you are scratching that you shouldn't, but goddammit, it just feels good. Then, when it's over, it's all self-loathing and hatred. I'm a normal guy. You wouldn't know anything was up from talking to me. I have a lot of friends from various backgrounds, my family loves me, and I've had more than my fair share of girlfriends. None of these people know. The scary part isn't anything that I have said though. If it were just self-harm, then it would be something that I could live with. What scares me the most about myself is that one day I might harm someone else. I've never told anyone, even anonymously before. I'd love to say that as I type this there is a large wave of ease and peace, but honestly, I kinda wish I would just have an aneurysm. For the most part, 99% of the time, I have exceptional self-control, and I have tested the waters with how far I might go. I dated a woman with a kid a while back, very slowly and carefully, before anyone gets outraged about it. Thankfully, the urge wasn't there, and I hope that it stays that way, and I'm able to keep the perversion to myself. I'd like to think that if it ever came down to it, I would kill myself before I hurt anyone else. Here's hoping it never comes down to that. I think of myself as a genius among everyone around me. Simple conversation annoys and bores me. I'm not a nerd or antisocial by any means. I just know that in this life every simple interaction with random people is very meaningless and nothing besides a couple chuckles and minimal information will be exchanged. I am scared that life is a 60 to 80-year-old joke unless you can somehow break the cycle of the normal matrix we live in by making a company, Apple, actor, rapper, politics, act. I keep this short and simple to the point because I know that the people who get it will understand. We can try and attempt to break the system, but if it rejects, then become one of the many worker ants of this life. I am capable of doing anything I want, but if someone else tells me to do it, I'm incapable of doing it. I almost dropped out of high school because I intentionally failed tests by writing stupid answers on them. Go to college and get straight A's because I'm paying for it myself so my dad can't harass me about the grades he's not paying for. I was diagnosed with ODD when I was 8.
I feel like there will never be a job I will be happy in and want to stick with. I always start out working a new job happy and motivated, but usually 8 to 12 months in, I've found multiple things I hate and become so miserable at work. There's been times I've cried simply on the fact that I'm there for 8 hours and I hate it. It scares me that I may never be content in one role forever. I seem to need change or something. That and I forever feel like my boyfriend isn't into me, and I am just an overly attached girlfriend, who is annoying and says and does lots of dumb things, and is basically a pain to be around. It scares me that maybe I'll never be content in a relationship either because I seem to require a lot of approval and validity that I am okay as a human. It scares me that I want that, and I can't just be happy with my own opinion of myself.
Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share and subscribe. The Internet Surfer on YouTube for more horror and scary stories.